while still on holiday, he's going to look at getting the R31 back together. So the last piece of the puzzle is the front cross member. Due to the amount of lock kits I sold for Matsuri, I stripped my 31 to be able to supply everybody that wanted a kit with a kit. So last piece of the puzzle for my car is to put the cross member back in. With R31 front ends, you can't really move them more than 15mm without having to do some crazy stuff with the nuts. The rack end physically won't pass the end of the bolt without touching it, so it'll just always eat the rack boots. So we're just going to go the 15mm, and as you can see, just marked it out. When I do my cross members, I like to cut out all the holes, so you'll find on the top hole and the bottom hole will be part of the area that's going to get cut out. And they're actually pretty easy. There's no need for a real jig or anything. 31 cross members are pretty robust, so they don't really twist when you cut them apart like S13 ones do. So I haven't found a real need to brace them. As you can see, marked out at the front, the bottom, cutting the hole out. I'm actually going to cut the reinforcements off so that I don't get a full weld through the bottom, and then weld the reinforcements back on once they're all done. Just got it ground up and prepped up. I've ground it up a bit to get it to go in nice and flush, so it's 17mm both sides at the moment, and I've just got it packed up on some plates just to get it nice and flush on the top. And then now we'll just tack it together and then start welding it out. So I've got it all tacked up. You can see it's a little bit gappy in places. So what we got to do is we're going to weld across these parts, and then we'll get the old reinforcing plates and give them a good clean up, and then we'll weld them back on. Just right, I've just given it a bit of a coat of paint, so I painted a few bits just to touch it up. When I reinstall the rack, I'm going to use these urethane rack mounts that I used to do. I haven't done them in a while, but they're Duro 90, so they're really rigid. You compare it to the original rubber one. Massive difference. So you can see that the rubber ones must have been moving around a lot, and they've just smashed themselves to pieces. So being more rigid, they'll stop the rack sliding side to side on extreme lock, and then you'll have a bit more direct feel in the steering as well. So it's always good to put them in, especially when you've got it apart anyway. So there you go, all thrown back together. Got the urethane rack bushes in, they're nice and stiff, so stop the rack moving side to side. And then just replace some of the bolts with button head cap screws while I'm at it. Just giving everything a black coat of paint so it's all a bit neater in appearance. And now we'll put it back in the car. As you can see, got it all back in, LCA's back in, everything's just finger tight. I haven't got it screwed all the way in, and it's only in on 3 threads this side. It's too short. I need to be 415mm from the end of the rack to the center of the ball joint, and this isn't going to do it. It's only going to get me to 390. I'm going to swap it out for a longer Camry one, and that should hopefully get the front end back together. I'll show you what I mean by you can only move the rack 15mm forward. You can see where the bolt comes across and the rack end is. You can't do like a 30mm notch like you can on S13 and R32 cross members. In an R31, 15mm is pretty much it. You can cut the thread back and put a smaller nut on and get a bit more space, another 10mm or so, but sometimes it's not worth the effort. I've just got a stock Zafiro wheel on the front at the moment, but I've got a 25mm spacer trying to fix the offset out of them. With the R33 plus 35mm LCA, you can see the wheel hangs out a good fair bit. It's probably about 35mm out the guard at the moment. It's kind of what it needs to clear the tyre at the lock that it's got now, so it's kind of got to stay. But we'll get to it. There you can see the trailing angle, so it's 0 Ackerman, so it should be parallel steering. You can see how close it comes to the chassis rail. Get the good curved caster rods doing their work there. We'll swap it the other way. You can see it leading now. Obviously it's not under bump, so it'll get a bit more as the shock bumps up, but should be enough to stop 31 spinning. You can see the notch doing its job. It's allowed the tie rod to come through further than it would if it didn't have a notch. And everything's still clearing pretty good. So the big issue with the setup currently is that when you try and come off full lock, it's over-centered. So with the rack at its spot, it's probably about there's the maximum. So with the rack 15mm forward, there it starts to bind. So probably about there is what you can get with the rack forward in a 31. Which is probably a little bit further than a normal. There's about what you would get if you didn't do the notch. So with the notch, you obviously get that much extra, but the downfall of the 31 front end is you can't go 35mm rack forward like you can in a 32, so it's kind of the limiting factor at the moment. Just having a quick look at cross members. Potentially I'm looking at putting in a modified R32 cross member in the 31. This is a stock 31 cross member, so it's from the engine mounts to the first bolt hole, it's 10mm, and then it's 170mm between the bolt holes. From the center bolt hole, it's 105mm to the center of the LCA. So with a 32 cross member, if I line it up on the front bolts, the engine mount is actually 10mm further forward, so it'd be 20mm further forward, and then the bolt spacing is only 140mm, so I would have to move this back bolt back 30mm, which is not a drama. But with a 32 cross member, I can get a 30mm rack forward, and also running a 32 cross member would allow me to move the LCA pickup point 25mm further forward. So you can kind of see how far we're looking at being roughly 40mm further forward, swapping from a stock R31 cross member to a modified 32 cross member. And also we're looking at moving the pickup point for the LCA 20mm further forward, which would give us a nice increase of leading angle. So to get around the engine mount issue, I'm looking at just cutting a square, say 10mm from the edge and 30mm back, cutting it square, taking that material out, turning it around 180 degrees and welding it back in. That will move the engine mount pickup point 20mm further back, and that should bring it back to original 31 which would be 10mm back behind the first bolt hole. So yeah, when I get some more time we'll have a look at it, but at the moment, other than making a custom cross member to move the rack forward, it's kind of like the easy option of it. If you're interested in the 31 stuff, don't forget to subscribe for more videos, and follow me on Facebook and Instagram in my RB Factory page.